I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 9 o'clock and start with pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Good morning. Next is, well, today's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next is approval of minutes of 10/2/2024.
As I make a motion to approve the minutes dated October 2nd, 2024.
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is approval of claims for payment of 10/9/2024.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is consideration to approve resolution 2024-35, establishing speed limit sign on County Highway D65 between H Avenue and US Highway 65 located in Hardin County, Taylor.
Yep, here, you don't pass that way you guys don't.
Yeah,
turn
I
around.
went up and drove yesterday.
Let me steal that.
You bet.
So we can explain the situation with the mouse alley over there. Who doesn't want to move now?
You need something to,
Oh, yeah, maybe. There we go. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. So we are currently doing a deck overlay on this bridge and so essentially that's not building the bridge from scratch. That's taking your old bridge and building off of it. So when you do this, you have to update the guardrail to standards. So we went through that process. The existing conditions did not work. We would have had to put a crash cushion on. I don't know if you've seen those on the interstate, but you know, it's not a regular guardrail. It's like,
Oh.
you know, it's probably like this wide kind of deal.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes they have like the buckets of water and stuff. So it was one of those. That didn't work with us out there either. So we've been talking to the guardrail guy. And we came up with essentially, it's gonna be like this same situation. You can see how the guardrail kind of curves around those two intersections. And that's the most important guardrail because it's, you know, the leading one on that side. So you're most likely to hit that corner than the other. So essentially going through all the rules here, I got all the DOT rules and the federal rules. To make this situation work without tearing the bridge down and starting from scratch, which we don't really have time to do at the moment.
You have money for that?
Heard the money probably.
We could find the money for that if we had to, but I prefer not to since we're spending the money on a deck overlay now, which should buy it years and years. So essentially to make this legal, we're going to have to drop the speed limit to 45 just for that little short stretch.
500 feet, I think you told me.
Yeah, probably. I think I did 200 feet each way to the intersection, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's under a quarter of a mile. Just drop it to 45 miles an hour, then it's legal. Everything's fine. I mean, the test they do, they bash a 5,000-pound vehicle at 25 degrees into the guardrail and they decided it's good at 45 miles an hour, but not 55, so. Yeah, I've seen the videos of the test. They're kind of fun to watch.
Huh.
So that's if you guys have any questions, I'll entertain them.
How much would your bridge cost?
A new bridge there?
Yep.
Oh, easily $500,000.
So it's 500 foot, 45 mile an hour drop or $500,000.
Yes.
You guys?
I have nothing. I went out and drove there yesterday and could see exactly why.
Okay.
Lance, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-35.
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Oh, roll call.
BJ,
Aye.
Renee,
Aye.
Lance,
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you, Taylor.
Taylor.
Next is consideration to approve utility permit for Iowa Regional Utilities Association.
Motion to approve utility permit UT-24-026.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Directional boring 3-inch main and right away along 170th Street, Section 3, Township 88. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is discuss with possible action waiving delinquent property tax interest due to clerical error. Daryl, did you want to talk on that?
Yeah. Background on that. whenever a piece of property is sold, it's recorded, and then our system shares that information with the assessor and the auditor's office, and then from there, that information is put into a different program, and then that information is shared with the treasurer's office, who sends out your tax bill. But what happened in this particular instance, the property was recorded, and then the information was shared with the assessor and the auditor, but a former employee in the auditor's office didn't enter correctly or didn't enter it at all, the change of ownership. And so when that cascaded downstream to the treasurer's office, the tax bills weren't sent out to the new owner, it was sent out to the previous owner. They ignored them, went unpaid, went to a tax sale, and so now we're correcting that situation, and part of the relief that appears appropriate would be to forgive, I don't know if it's $60-ish, less than $100 in interest on this property. So that's kind of the history of it and how we got here.
So that's the tax or the penalty on the property taxes then? What, I mean, if it's gone to tax sale, the person that purchased it, are they still getting their money that they thought they were?
The purchaser will get their purchase money back, and they're entitled to interest. Now, the question then will be, we grant relief to the person who didn't know that they were late and delinquent and weren't notified that it was up for sale.
They're willing to pay the taxes.
They're willing to pay the taxes. It just doesn't seem fair in this situation to make the purchaser, the new seller, the new buyer,
Yeah.
not the tax buyer, but the person who bought it and recorded the deed, pay that interest. So the next question will be the tax buyer who, they buy these things, if they get redeemed, they are entitled to the interest. So the question will be, where will that $60 or so come from? But that's not the issue for this board today. The question today is, do we give the current owner the relief on that interest? And it seems appropriate since there was an error, here in the courthouse. And Michelle has more information on that.
Yeah, but the situation is that it is a decision today about the tax sale holder. Because if we're gonna forgive the interest, then you have to instruct me to cancel that tax sale certificate, refund that tax sale certificate holder, and inform him why we're canceling it. Because I can't forgive the interest on a tax sale redemption unless I cancel that tax sale and refund the tax sale original purchaser the money. So that has to be a decision today or later, but.
Right.
And then also now that it's October, we'll have to forgive interest on the September tax as well.
So the question today is whether to relieve the interest.
Yes, if they're gonna relieve the interest for the new owner that didn't get their tax statement, then they have to make a decision on that tax sale as well to instruct me, because I can't just cancel a tax sale by myself.
Right, and for tax sale purposes and, the bookkeeping, the accounting that the treasurer has to do might be different than if we have to make something right with that tax purchaser. I think that's probably a different fight for a different day.
I think it all kind of has to happen at the same time.
Yeah, it does. Can't cancel it without doing something.
I think you can cancel it out if they do this today.
Right, but I thought you had said that that's for another day for the tax sale. Maybe I misunderstood you.
Well, if I put myself, well, I'm just thinking out loud, and maybe that's dangerous. But if I think I'm entitled to interest and they take it away, I may take another run at it as that tax buyer. Is that the right result? Should they be denied their interest when they've not had the use of that money for a while?
Right,
And I think it's a separate issue than what we're talking about today. We can make people whole it may take 2 steps to make both people whole. If you follow what I'm saying.
So it needs to be on
We can clean up our books,
Next week's agenda.
but just a different agenda if we need to
Item,
make something
right.
right with The tax.
The tax
purchaser.
purchase, the tax sale purchaser.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
About proposing? Proposing agreement?
Okay, Lance, with that being said, I make the motion to waive the delinquent interest for the new parcel owner. On parcel 8921134080005.
I'll second it.
there's a motion and a second, any discussion? Obviously, we'll have another motion or
Or
an
another
agenda.
agenda item to
Next week.
give relief to the tax certificate purchaser.
Or could this motion have that involved in all in one motion?
I can't relieve the interest without canceling the tax sale certificate.
So they both have to be done at the same time. Michelle, so they both have to be done.
Okay, so
What is that?
I'd call for the vote.
All in favor, say aye. Oppose?
Aye.
Aye. Motion failed.
Okay, so my new motion will be to waive the actually give relief to the tax certificate purchaser and have the county treasurer inform them that the sale of that certificate will be voided and waive the delinquent interest for the new parcel owner of parcel 8921134080005.
Does that sound sufficient, Michelle?
I believe so.
All right, then he'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is consideration to acknowledge the treasurer's semi-annual report of 23-24.
Make a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the treasurer's semi-annual report for 23-24.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next is consideration to acknowledge the recorder's report for September.
And make a motion to acknowledge the recorder's report for September.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Which carries. Now I have is a change of status.
No.
Auditor's report.
Oops, I'm sorry. Auditor's report.
I make a motion to acknowledge the auditor's report for September.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Now I have is change of status.
Motion to approve the change of status for Colin Chinnery. For Colin Chinnery, he's a communications operator in the sheriff's department. This is a resignation effective 9/25/24.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. And other business.
Nothing with Lance.
Okay, public comments.
Robert.
Robert, come on up.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Robert.
As you know, or as you may know, there was a Supreme Court hearing yesterday, last night at 1900, and it was about our very own Kent. Help me with his last name. Kasiski. We had a lot of folks there in the room, including a real stalwart property fighter from South Dakota, and he spoke at the rally. The hearing didn't give us any feel good, but I trust that the conclusions will be like the South Dakota conclusion, and they'll find that these surveys are a taking in itself to a company that does not have the power of condemnation or eminent domain. They don't have a permit. And it's a very strict conditional use permit. So I appreciate that Daryl was down in Des Moines yesterday at a meeting prior to all that. And I heard good comments about our own county attorney, and I appreciate that. So let's follow that case closely. And we are still residents and the property rights advocates of this county are still asking you guys to make a public statement in support of property rights and not necessarily always go through our good attorney.
All right, thank you.
No, I'm not done.
Okay.
So here's the package for each one of you. Next, I want to address. The compensation board and the Board of Adjustments. It was brought up last week. And we have to, as a county, that make sure that each individual that serves this county on a commission or a board are upright and standing with the people of this county with no conflicts of interest. Major conflict of interest is that article that was written to our local paper and another paper in Hardin County by Mr. Dave Sweeney. When you write an article like that and you submit it for all to see, after at an informational meeting where the question was asked, do you believe that it's okay for Bruce Rastetter to have a monopoly on the best CO2, your property, and an ethanol? And Dave Sweeney is the only member in that room out of probably 150 people that thought it was a good idea that we do that. That in itself, for anybody who's taken the oath of office, we've all taken that, including you guys. We are committed to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and preserve that document for an eternity. And that document wasn't written for rich corporations, it was written for we the people. And that article that he's pushing does the opposite of that. So if somebody has a conflict such as that, here, let me go back. When is it okay to trample the rights of Americans, Iowans, hardworking farmers? When is it okay to silence them and censor them? When is it okay to go after their Second Amendment right or their Fifth Amendment right or the due process clause in the 14th Amendment? It is never okay. Never okay. Not for greed, not for profit, not for self-interest. And that's exactly what this gentleman is portraying. Him and his son, I appeal to you, must be removed for a major conflict of interest. Annette Sweeney has to be replaced as our state senator, and if it's me that's going to do it in 2 years, I will. The last part of that is the letter to editor by Hamilton County. A group of people who once scoped the idea that carbon gas was destroying our planet are now making a 180-degree turn to initiate the idea of collecting and transporting CO2. There is a presumption by many of us that they found a way to make billions of dollars in the process. It is a proposed project, a proven way to capture the useless gas many familiar with the industry say is not. I hope I read that right. They want to transport this useless gas hundreds of miles to North Dakota via an underground pipeline where it is stored underground for an eternity. That's right, an eternity. How can that be kicked down the road that long, and who will oversee the storage facility for an eternity? The potential for a Holocaustal event now or years from now is imminent. While natural gas, crude oil, diesel fuel, and gasoline are transported via pipeline, that doesn't mean the transportation of CO2 is proven to be safe using the same technology. CO2 is odorless, colorless, and deadly. Why would we as a civilized people, I'm stressing this one, why would we as a civilized people allow such a potential catastrophe to exist that will place our neighbors and emergency personnel in harm's way? I want to add communities, rural folks, livestock, children, schools, nursing homes. With no zoning in rural areas of Hamilton County, our only resolve is to pass a resolution against the pipeline advancement. We, as the majority people in Iowa opposing such an effort, must step away from our nice, Iowa nice attitudes and stand up to challenge them. We strongly oppose the use of eminent domain for the purpose of advancing a privately owned carbon capture pipeline project in Hamilton County. Signed, the Hamilton County Board of Supervisors. You guys, we always haven't agreed on the path forward to this. And there's still more that can be done. I've said that before, and BJ says to me, well, why didn't you run for office? Why didn't you do it? We are still imploring you guys to stand by home rule while home rule exists. They haven't taken that away. There's a survey ordinance that the Bremer County Board of Supervisors passed. It's really stringent on any future surveys. And I forwarded to you guys months ago. It's time to relook at that for us, please. It's time to make a statement like this. If you want to go through Daryl's office, that's great. That is what we're supposed to do. When I ran for office, you guys know my character now. Sometimes it's a little abrasive. I worked in an environment where that was called, it was called as part of who I am. But I am a fighter for liberty. I'm a fighter for what's right and what's happening right now. 78 to 81% of the people of Iowa do not agree with this private project using the power of eminent domain. And we in the county, with the 17 other counties that have passed what I'm terming the Bremer County Resolution, nullification resolution. 17 counties I know of have passed that resolution. We are in this to the end. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but Free Soil Foundation is in a lawsuit with, what's the guy from Webster City, Bob? He's a businessman. His name escapes me now. Anyways, we're in this with 37 Republican legislators, including Joshua Meggers, who has signed on board. Annette Sweeney has not, and she won't. 37 legislators, the Sandra Henning family, Free Soil Foundation, the King Interveners, and the main guy is Bob from Webster City. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting his name. But we're seeing this all the way to the end. Supreme Court here in the state of Iowa and the federal Supreme Court. And I have that lawsuit on our Free Soil Foundation website. I had some more, but I will defer my comments till next week. But yeah, if you guys can revisit this, I am gonna run for office in 2 years. I don't imagine this matter will be resolved. And it's either one of three seats. Either that table there, a Representative Meggers, if he doesn't speak out, he's side with us, but we need folks with backbone to stand against this, what I'm terming the government gangsters in Iowa. Because the system, it's all alleged, the system has been corrupted. And legal contributions made by legal donors has brought influence. And we have to dismantle that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
No.
You can ask for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Which carries for adjournment.